Last round in Canada saw Gary Teal's hope for a championship slip away with an unfortunate moment avoiding a backmarker. And yet, despite Michel Dudonjean's speed and dominance in the past, it's still stunning to see him take the crown considering how late in the season he became a factor. Knowing there's nothing on the line other than the pride of adding another win to your stats, the drivers are now free to, as they say in the world of NASCAR, have at it, boys. And as if the racing gods want nothing more than to please the fans, they've allowed this to happen at the most famous racetrack in the Ardennes, Spa-Francorchamps. So while the drivers steel themselves for the epic battle about to go down, all you have to do is get ready to watch round 12 of the Lotus 49 World Cup. And you'll see it all live here on the Global Sim Racing channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Johan Vanderbilt. Behind the scenes is our director, the Dr. Amjad Yaman, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Johan, we got to watch modern F1 cars here last week in the real world, and now we get to take a trip back in time to take these virtual vintage cars to the track. Tell us what they face at Spa.
Yeah, no matter what era of race cars you look at, there's always a big chance. These cars have driven around Spa-Francorchamps. The circuit was opened in 1921 and connected the Belgian towns of Francorchamps, Malmedy and Stavelot. Interestingly, even though most drivers nowadays know Spa as well as the mothers know them, the first race in the Ardennes Forest wasn't popular at all. It was actually cancelled for only having one participating driver. Now, the original circuit was huge, netting a whopping 15 kilometers with an average high speed of almost 250 kilometers an hour. And just before World War II, the Belgians decided to make the track even faster by constructing the famous Eau Rouge corner, replacing a slow hairpin that used to be in its place. And the Lotus 49 of today raced this layout twice, with Jim Clark scoring a 6th position in '67 and Jackie Oliver scoring 5th place a year later. And when the track saw heavy changes in the 80s due to safety measures, the length of one lap was heavily shortened to 7 kilometers, but the feeling of raw speed and daring corners remained, with Eau Rouge, Pouron, Stavelot and Blanchimont and some famous corners. The drivers will circle the forest track 15 times in the bid for victory today. And to see how that looks like from the driver's point of view, let's hop on board our GSRC Lotus 49 for a lap around Spa-Francorchamps.
Alright, we're in the GSRC Lotus 49, so let's do a lap around Spa. Across the start-finish line, you're immediately faced with Eau Rouge. A fair bit of braking at the bottom will set you up to wind over Radillon. The car gets very light, and getting on the power is extremely difficult here. And since it takes you onto the Kimmel Straight, it's extra important to find traction as soon as it's available. Every 1/10 of a second sooner you can accelerate, the more top end you're going to find by the time you hit the braking zone for Lecombe. And this chicane will be very popular for overtakes. The downside will be it's easy to come in way too hot, and it won't be uncommon to see drivers cut across the grass to Malmedy. That puts us at the highest point on the track, and so back downhill we go. Because the elevation drops so drastically, you'll brake early for this 180-degree bend. Understeer around here will be a frequent problem. Switch sides quickly because you've got to hit no-name corner. There is AstroTurf around the outside, but it doesn't quite offer as much grip and isn't ideal. You can see the valley with the start-finish line off in the distance, but before you know it, you're braking for Pouon. I find snap oversteer is something that happens a lot on entry, but it's also difficult gauging how soon and how much you can get back on the power through this second apex. Lap time can be gained if you can unlock its secrets. It's kind of a short burst of fannies, which can be frustrating in the 49. It always feels like you're compromising one apex or the other and never truly nailing this right-left. Then there's Stavelot. Expect a lot of dirt and dust kicked up when drivers push it that little bit too hard and dip their wheels into the gravel on the left. On the second apex, you've got to really nail the launch off the bend. It doesn't help that the track gently curves while you're accelerating out of it, meaning you'll find yourself countersteering even in 4th gear. Now, while most cars are easily flat out through this left turn, in the Lotus you've got to lift just a little bit to make it through. Then stab the brakes and swing it into Blanchimont. Getting your right foot down quickly will be critical, but also get the car set up for the bus stop. Let it drift off to the left while you throw out the anchor and slow it down. This fiddly little chicane will produce a lot of missed apexes when drivers fly in way too hot. And it's going to be tough finding grip when you exit in the lower gears, meaning many might spin out as they get greedy. The final corner will be La Source and offers a last-ditch opportunity to overtake. Just be careful and watch out for the savvy drivers who can pull an over-under on you and snatch that place right back. What's great for viewers is that creates some thrilling finishes. But as we cross the line, we've now finished a lap around Spa.
There you see a lap up and down the steep hills of Spa-Francorchamps. Now, we mentioned that the chase for the championship is over. However, that doesn't mean other spots aren't up for grabs. So why don't we take a look at those points? You can see, even though there are 40 points on grab for a win, those drop points are what makes the difference. So no matter what, there is effectively 30 or 43 points between Dudignon and Thiel here today. Now, Marco Kika, obviously very close to Thiel because of Gary having a bad race last time, so he could actually lose second in the championship here in the final race. Even though Matt Wright can't catch Kika, there's a battle between himself and Ove Trankerade for those 4th and 5th spots in the drivers' standings as well. Now, let's go over to the F2 standings. Johan, what are we looking at in the Amateur Championship?
Yeah, in the F2 Championship, there has been 2 names all season long. Matt Wright, we just saw him in the Formula 1 standings as well, in Hideki Corfisto. With 1 round to go, there's only 18 points between them. Could still happen for the Finnish driver, but it's going to be a very, very tough challenge for him. Behind him, it's still the 3 American drivers getting even a little bit closer together. Andrew Eng had a good run last time around, and he edges a little bit closer to Don Good in P3. Johnny Bell still rounds out the top 5.
And of course, there is the Constructors' Championship, which is effectively a nations championship in this series. And between the UK, and France, and the US, it's a relatively tight fight. But of course, the UK having a lot of drivers backing them up to try and bring in points. Makes it a little bit easier for them to keep this first place, although you can see Dudignon is making steady progress forward with his championship run as well. Finland and Australia a little bit farther back and a little bit farther apart. So really the top 3 are the ones we're worried about here today. Now, in case there's anybody who has not watched the Lotus 49 World Cup, well, welcome for one thing. Glad you joined us on a track like this. This always puts on a good show. But just to familiarize our fans, so what are we looking at here today, Johan?
Yeah, I wanted to say the same, Joe. There's probably not a better track that you can start your first Lotus 49 race. Today we have round 12 out of the 12 rounds in our Lotus 49 Championship, and the race distance, as mentioned before, will be 15 laps. The setups will be open. That means that the drivers can turn all the knobs and switch all the balls just the way to their liking. And we have a new scoring format since last season, with 40 points going to the victor, 35 and 30 for the rest of the podium.
And if you enjoy this type of racing, well, there's even more of official iRacing stuff over on their esports network. Their YouTube channel has all kinds of great stuff with some of the other major broadcasters, such as RaceSpot, LSR TV, and V8's Online. And that includes their World Championship Series. So definitely go give them a look and subscribe over there. We'll be there later today with the iRacing Camel GT Series in just a couple hours. Can't wait to get to call that. Now, to tell you how long of a track this is, even in these fast F1 cars, they're just now getting lap times in for their first lap, which means it's going to be very tight to get your second lap in if you haven't crossed quite yet, because we're looking at 2:17 lap times even for the fastest guys. And right now, looks like Dudignon up on top, and he's got 4/10 over Mick Claridge for the moment.
Yeah, he's really celebrating the championship title that he won last season. 2:72, that's an incredibly quick lap time from the French driver. Behind him, Dave Price is rounding up the top 3 so far, although he's over a second slower than Michel Dudignon. Gary Thiel, who we see on screen at the moment, is currently in 5th place position with a 2:19.1, almost 2 seconds behind Dudignon, but he is trying to fight his way forward. He only needs to find 4/10 to beat Billy Bob Wright, who's currently in P4.
And some of these drivers didn't necessarily start late that haven't put a time in yet. This track, a bit notorious for being tough to avoid off tracks, which nullify your lap time for that lap, and that could be what's happened there. Now, let's see, is Michel or Mick going to be the first across the line here? Looks like Michel going to get his second lap in, our pole sitter, and he will get it on the downhill. That's something to watch out for. This is the classic layout that they are doing, which means they will not be taking the lap times and the finish at the Grand Prix start that you see normally for modern F1. It's here after La Source, and as Michel crosses the line, let's see what his second lap is. It's a little bit faster, about a 10th faster for Michel.
Lap time from him so far. Now Mick Claridge is currently in a rundown out of Staffelo towards Blanchimont. He has 2 free corners to go before he can put in his final lap time. As in P4, Nicola Corci is setting a quick lap time as well. He beats Billy Bob Wright for the P4 position, 4 tenths behind Dave Price. So going through the bus stop here, Mick Claridge only 2 more seconds ago. As you said, Joe, it is not the track that he get a little bit loose there. That's going to hurt his lap time. He will lose a little bit of speed. Luckily for him, the straight isn't that long, so the damage will be limited. With 1 more corner to go, Mick Claridge, he has to find 5 tenths of a second to grab that pole position in the final race of the season and beat his rival one more time, Michel Dudillon. Goes over the start-finish line and he comes home in another lap time. I think he had an off-track over that lap, so Mick Claridge stays in 2nd place position.
And that is it for qualifying. So let's go through your grid. Michel Dudillon is going to be on pole with Mick Claridge flanking him on the front row. Dave Price will start in 3rd, followed by Nicola Cocci in 4th. Billy Bob Wright returns. Glad to have him back. He'll start 5th. Next to him will be Gary Teal in 6th position. Then behind them in 7th, it's Matt Wright with Marco Kika in 8th and Richard Morin in 9th. Daniele Gattuso rounds out our top 10.
A name that we haven't seen a lot, Victor Perelman, is in P11 position. He's being flanked by Philippe Urquhart. On row 7, it's Simon J. Shaw. Next to him, Hideki Koifiso. P15, Marcellus Breuning and Daniel Sadro slots in just behind him. Dom Good starts the race in 17th position, just next to Scott Green. Last 2 drivers in the top 20, Telmo Almaral and Randy Huff in P20.
Honeybell starts 21st with Gary Anderson in 22nd. Ben Zocco did not get a lap time in. He'll start 23rd. Jordi Mendez will be behind him 24th. Paul Beatty 25th. And Robert Reynolds rounds out the field of 26 cars. What would be a full F1 field here in modern days is a very full field for the Lotus 49s. Glad to see this popular track has brought them out in droves. Should make for an interesting race today as we wait for the drivers to finish gridding up. 18 laps around this track. Excuse me, 15 laps around this track today. Has just a couple more left to go. Kika and Reynolds, the last 2, waiting to get to the line. Going to be an interesting start heading through Eau Rouge. Usually they're able to make it through. These drivers tend to have a sense of self-preservation in this series. As the engines start to rev, the lights come up. Green flag is out and off the line. It's a pretty good start for Dudillon. Not a good start for Mick Claridge, as Dave Price already looking on him. Side by side behind them between Cocci and Billy Bob Wright. I think they're going to get themselves sorted out as they come up over Radillon. And we have an incident with Daniel Sadro getting turned around.
Yeah, good move, a good start in the front of the field by Gary Teal. It was only held up by Nicola Cocci and Billy Bob Wright, who went side by side. He denied him an overtaking maneuver up front of the field. Mick Claridge is trying to take a look through Les Combs. He doesn't make it. He has to stay behind Michel Dudillon for now.
Still holding on tight behind the Frenchman. We'll get a replay a little bit later of what happened to Sadro. As Dave Price holding on, let's see if maybe he can get himself in for this potential when using the draft. Those 3 starting to drop Nicola Cocci in 4th as they plunge back downhill into Puhan.
A lot of smoke in the backfield. Telmo Amaral has blown an engine. What's the day done for that driver?
Boy, bad way to end the day.
Now it's the ID to Mendes, puts it in the wall. He's very slow at the moment. I think it's day over for him as well.
Looks like he's going to try and limp it a little bit farther at the least. Man, number of drivers having trouble here at the start, but with such a big field, we still got a number of cars still out there running as we watch the pack now work their way into Stavelot. And what is usually a flat-out stretch in most cars, but Johan, and here, it is certainly not.
Exactly not. Now the car starts to swiggle once you steer the steering wheel only a little bit and you're putting it on full gas. So it's a really difficult corner because you have to balance that line between having so much as much traction as possible and not spinning out. It's a really tight balance here. Most of the drivers are going well through the corners. Daniel Coutuso almost had a good move. Before the lead, we see him move Mick Claridge on the outside of the bus stop chicane. He tried to move, but Michel Dudillon denied him. Is he having good running out of the bus stop? He doesn't have a good run out of the bus stop. Doesn't have to worry about Dave Price behind him, though. Dave Price is a little bit too far behind to try and move through La Source. Mick Claridge gains a little bit. He has a good line through that corner, Joe. A little bit tighter than Michel Dudillon and might have gained around a car length there, but not enough to try and move. He has to set himself up for a run over the Camel Straight.
And yeah, Michel has been looking pretty loose. In fact, that first attack into the bus stop was precipitated by him going through Blanchimont very loose as well. And now up and over at Dillon, he is under attack yet again. Mick Claridge in the slipstream pulls up to the outside as he's made to go the long way around by Michel Dudillon. How brave on the brakes. He pinches him down to the apex. Aggressive stuff with no championship on the line. Michel tries to fight back, but the lead now goes to the Brits.
Great move. He was so strong under braking. He just could make the difference there. And that's P1. But immediately Michel Dudillon tries it on the outside. Oh, he squeezes the Brit there. Keeps it there. Keeps it there. Both cars squirming as they try to get the power down once again. For No Name Corner now to the left. Now he has the outside. Now Mick Claridge has more momentum. They stay side by side on the run down towards Pouhon Corner. This is not a corner where you want to be side by side. And they slot in behind him. Michel Dudillon. Oh, what? Both of them go very loose. Oh, he just holds it. Beautiful stuff from Dudillon to not spin his car there and to avoid his rival. Both of them can continue.
Well, boys and girls, the gloves are off between these two. This is what we wanted to see. And Dave Price has the front row seat to this battle. I'm wondering when he'll try and stick his nose in this thing. Still, it is Mick Claridge now leading Michel Dudillon after that. And I'm not sure if we have time for a replay. We've been wanting to pull it up of what happened to Sadro. Oh, it looks like now's not a good time because Michel's got another run. Are they going to try and go side by side through this section? That pulls out a little bit up, heading into Blanchimont. And now they're going single file once again. Oh, my goodness.
Mick Claridge knows just exactly where to position his car in that rundown from Stavelot to Blanchimont. He put it in exactly the right places so Dudillon couldn't put it side by side and use the overspeed to make a move. Through bus stop though, Mick Claridge is very sliding. You can see Dudillon immediately puts it side by side in that rundown towards the Source. If Dudillon can brake later, he can swing it around the outside, but it's a difficult corner to do so. 180 degrees, you have a lot of less track that you have to do if you're on the inside. You can see that Dave Price actually makes the move, and Dave Price elevates himself to P2.
Dave Price certainly didn't want to wait around much longer as he almost seemed to be held up by these two fighting. As finally, I think we're going to get a chance. I thought we were going to have to throw these replays in the trash bin. As let's take a look at Sadro off the start. I don't even know exactly what happened. I just saw him at the top of the hill, turned in the wrong direction. See the cars trying to sort themselves out ahead of him. Oh, just had to brake a little bit, being held up by the car ahead, and that loosened the car, and unfortunately, that sent him in the barrier. Now, what happened to Billy Bob here?
Yeah, Billy Bob was having a good run until that moment so far, but as you can see from the replay now, just here over the bump in Eau Rouge in Radillon, just unsettles the car and he just loses control, cannot spin it on the grey stuff, but hits the wall, and it's the day over for the Floridian.
Yep, I've done that a lot of times in this car. It tends to find the left-hand side. Go ahead.
No, that's something that happens very easily in this car, more tracks than just Spa. In the front of the field, Dudillon is still behind Dave Price, and he's putting the Brit under pressure through the flip-flop towards Stavelot. He's trying to make a pass as soon as possible because he doesn't want Mick Claridge to drive away from the Speed2 battle.
I was about to say that there's no bigger fan of Dave Price right now than Mick Claridge, as he's got himself a healthy gap over these two. Knowing Dudillon, I don't think it's going to be very long before he tries to dispose of Dave Price. Now, tries being the key word. I'm not sure if he'll be successful. Dave certainly not going to give this one away easily, knowing how hard it is to get a place away from these two. They come up to the bus stop, and he's a little bit too far back this time through. So let's look a little bit farther back in the field. Have a bit of a battle between Morin and Kika. This is for 7th spot at the moment. They're not too far behind. Matt Wright as well. Remember, Wright and Kika themselves in a bit of a points battle.
Well, Matt Wright is having a great race so far. He started in P7, he's currently in P6, and he's being able to keep both Kika and Morin behind him. Good stuff from him so far. A little bit further down the field, we see a battle. That's Marcel Breuning. Marcellus Breuning for P12, and he's being chased by Benjamin Soko. Benjamin Soko, of course, a really fast driver that didn't manage to put in a qualifying time. He's finding his way up the field, like a real-life Formula 1 car that had an engine penalty. He's currently in P13, but he looks like he's gonna make short work of Marcellus Breuning and bring himself one place further up.
And as that was happening, Michel Dudignon tried to make a pass on Dave Price, but he went in a little bit too hot, cut the course slightly. Is he going to get a slowdown? Yes, he is. There goes Dave Price right on back by.
Yeah, we're going to a replay of that moment. Man, that was licking the stamp and sanding it there. He had a great run through Radion, through Eau Rouge. Enjoyed the draft, as you can see here. Just got closer and closer, sanded on the inside. Tried to move and underbraking just a tad too late. Great car control to not spin and lose it there, but as you said, Joe, he just cuts the inside of the corner, inside of Lecum a little bit too much, and that nets him a slowdown penalty.
I wonder if the weather just wasn't what Dudignon expected, because typically he likes a more stable setup. There we see it's about 98 degrees, so not overly hot, but a little warm on track. Although 12 miles an hour wind, that could upset the car too.
I mean, with a move that I just saw, like trying it like that, it almost seemed like it was not necessarily the weather, but just a move to try and get rid of Dave Price as soon as possible, because you can immediately see that Dave Price is 1.5 seconds behind Nick Claridge. Claridge is driving away, so Dudignon had to make that move to really have an opportunity for the P1 position. And at the moment, that position is slipping further and further away for him. As we can see on screen now, Victor Perelman is trying to set himself up for a move on Daniele Gattuso towards Blanchimont.
This is a car where you can really make a difference as a driver, as we ride on board with Victor. Ooh, a little bit slow through Blanchimont, and that's going to allow Danielle to pull away, but you can really see how much they have to wheel these things each and every corner. Behind them, a move being made by Zoko, getting past Koivisto.
Yeah, we already had 2 drivers in this lap. We also passed Marcellus Breuning earlier in this lap. Looking very close to Victor and Daniele at the moment. It will be a top 10 position in just 2 free laps for Benjamin Soko. Through La Source, that's a very wide line for Daniele Gattuso. Victor Perelman looks a little bit on the inside. Because of that, he has a suboptimal line, and he is immediately being challenged by the Australian.
Couldn't do anything on the short run down to Eau Rouge, but this is not a flat-out corner in these cars either, so up and over the hill. Can he make a difference now? And both of them gaining quickly on Gattuso. Looking to the outside, Victor Perelman. Are we going to see 3 wide? These cars, very tough to do that. Benjamin Zoko knows that. He backs out before he gets himself in trouble.
Good situational awareness from Soko there to back out, because that would have been disaster if you tried to put it side by side. A little bit further in the field, I saw Marco Kika heavy fighting with Richard Morin heavy fighting with Matt Wright. Matt Wright was just passed by Kika for the P6 position. He's being challenged by Richard Morin for P7 as well. And
a change for second place is down into Pouhon. Michel Dudignon was able to outbrake Dave Price and get it away. Let's take a look at the replay here. Just got a great run out of No Name. Tried to look to the inside slightly, knew he had his wheel up there, and was a little bit braver.
Yeah, good stuff. And looking at the gap between the two, it's almost 2 seconds between Nick Claridge and Michel Dudignon. So the Frenchman has his work cut out for him. But it's not too far. It's not undoable, especially with 10 more laps to go. This is something that he should be able to do before the end of the race. Going back to the battle we just had between Gattuso, Perelman and Soko, it's still all to play for. Through Staffelo, Gattuso has a lot of oversteer. That will hurt him because Soko had a good run. Cannot make it here though, but on the straight he hucks into the draft, into the gearbox. I think the Australian will be able to make the pass now. Perelman in front of them is driving away a little bit. Side by side going towards Blanchimont. Soko backs out a little bit, and that immediately sends Hideko Koivisto closer to the pair.
That was a good demonstration how tough these cars are along that stretch up to Blanchimont. Zoko got a little bit loose even before they got to the corner, sticks his nose into the bus stop. Still, this is a very tempered drive from the Australian, as he's not really doing anything wild and crazy to try and get by these two, trying to preserve the car and get himself in front of them before he throws things away.
Gattuso just seems to have a lot of problems going onto the throttle. Every time that he gets, well, not now in La Source apparently, but a few corners before, every time he went on the throttle, his car just seemed to squirm quite a bit, and that hurt him with traction. He had a good run through La Source that helped him to get a pass in Eau Rouge, but side by side, oh, they hit the curb twice very hard. Look at Perelman, he's seconds in front of the pair. Look at Corfisto, he was the only one with a good racing line. He's being blocked by both of them and denied a pass for Radillon.
All dressed up with no place to go. Indeed, yeah, side by side as Zoko tries once again to get by Gattuso into Lecum. Can't get it done. And behind them, a change for position as Urquhart has managed to get by Bruning.
This is really, really tight stuff between 4 or 5 drivers just on each other. It's normally Formula 1 the Italian Trulli train, well at the moment it's the Gattuso train, because he's defending very well to keep Benjamin Soko behind him for now.
Indeed, and well, they've lost sight of Victor Perelman and then some. He is 3.5 seconds up the road just due to that little fight that we saw moments ago. Gattuso continuing to hold back Zoko as they come out of Puhan. And meanwhile, things are getting a little bit closer up at the front as Dudignon made short work of Claridge.
Yeah, but he's almost a second quicker this lap, I reckon. He also made short work of Dave Price, who's immediately almost 1.5 seconds behind him. Dudignon putting heavy pressure on the Brit. Not able to make a move yet here, but if Michel Dudillon can just follow McLaren like this, if he can just keep the Brit under pressure, he will be able to make several moves to try and steal the P1 position.
But yet again, breaking into the bus stop, we saw from on board Michel that he was getting all sorts of sideways, much smoother here through La Source, but still not doing him any good as he holds about a half second back from the number 2 car.
Benjamin Soko makes the move. He passes Daniel Gattuso in the bus stop chicane. Beautiful move around the outside. The Italian is immediately being put under pressure by Hideki Corfisto and Philippe Urquhart. Breuning falling away a little bit. We're interested to see if the Australian can now consolidate and create a gap and fight his way back towards the gearbox of Victor Perelman.
This train has put on some of the best action we've seen, besides the leaders at least. As we jump over to 7th place with Richard Morin managing to get by Matt Wright with an easy pass down the Kimmel Straight. Boy, lots happening as a pass for 4th. Dick Licocci getting by Gary Teal. Teal, the one actually battling with Marco Kika earlier that I was talking about, so apologies for that misinformation, but Teal's still ahead of Kika for now, so he is safe.
The battle for P1 is heating up as well. It was only 1/10, well, a few moves, a few corners later it's 3/10, but Dudillon is putting McLaren under pressure through the FIFA here to the right. Difficult corner here to put the power down, because a little bit too much you might get an off track or hit the gravel and spin yourself. Both cars very safe on the side of caution. McLaren is not using the full width of the track there. He's defending, he's looking in his mirrors, and you can see that Dudillon is going more to the sides to try and have as much momentum through the corners, so that's helping him here on the exit of Staffelo, putting it side by side towards Blanchimont. And you have the outside corner, but just a lot of courage from Dudillon over the grass with this unstable car. And you can see that McLaren is able to overtake him through Blanchimont. He dives immediately back into the gearbox towards the bus stop chicane on the outside. He cannot brake as late as the Brits can. Has a good line though. He tries to over and under here. Great exit here from Dudillon. Immediately on the outside, he has more speed than McLaren. McLaren has to defend here, but if Dudillon can keep it on the outside here and brake a little bit later, he will get it. They both brake exactly at the same time. Dudillon has it going through La Source.
Woof, send the busboy home, because these guys are leaving nothing on the table out there today as Dudillon continuing to try to hound Mick Claridge. He seems to have the pace advantage, but Mick Claridge has the track position up and over the hill. Another bobble over Radillon for Michel Dudillon, but he keeps his speed up, looking around the outside. Let's see if he can get it done. Oh, they almost come together and bang wheels. Braking for Lecouve. The inside is going to go to Mick Claridge. Can he keep him back? It's going to switch back in favor of Dudignon, but then up to Malmedy, keeping the momentum. Mick Claridge still not giving up, and he still fins him off.
Twice, 3 times that the car went loose on the Camel Straight and twice in Lecouve's, and that means that Michel Dudillon stays behind Mick Claridge for another lap. Oh man, the French driver, Joe, he just has so much more speed, it seems like. But this car is also unstable, so he's not able to fully utilize that speed difference that he has, because every time he tries a move, he just wriggles a little bit and he cannot make it stick.
My goodness, poking and prodding as we rode on board there with Mick Claridge. It was almost like Dudignon was giving a gearbox inspection to Mick Claridge. Still can't find his way by. Again, no worry about the championship between either of these guys. This is just for fun to see who can come out first. Dave Price has not been able to catch up despite the fierce fighting between these two.
Yeah, these drivers have been, well, 2 of the quickest drivers in this series the whole season and previous seasons as well. And you can see that here they're fighting so heavily, and they're still walking away from the rest of the field. Dudillon will try it one more time. He tried it on the outside last time. Oh, really close on the gearbox there of Mick Claridge, but they avoid each other. This time he doesn't try it on the outside of Blanchimont, but he just stays in the draft for now. I think he's a little bit too far to try and move through the bus stop, and again you can see that Mick Claridge knows that he's there. He has to defend. He is not able to take the optimal line, and that means that the French driver will get closer. In front of them traffic appears. There's Robert Reynolds. They will probably meet him at the end of the Camel Straight, but for now they stay behind each other one more time. Mick Claridge is the first one through the source. He has a good exit. Dudillon a little bit loose through the corner. Mick Claridge drives away on the exit, and he's safe until Eau Rouge.
Great stuff by Reynolds to get out of the way of these two. He spotted him coming. Let's see if we get a repeat of last lap. Not quite as good of a run there for Dudignon, but the slipstream is helping him anyways. Can he do it this time? Did he learn anything from the attack up to Lecouve? The Camel Straight runs out. They get on the binders. They're about even. And as they go side by side, this time, once again, carrying the speed up to Malmedy. Mick Claridge just cannot be taken over. Oh, no, they come together! Can he keep it off the barriers? He does, but he comes to a halt sideways as Dave Price goes by.
Oh, man, that's difficult. Dudillon went very loose because, again, he hit the curbstone in Lecouve, and that unsettled his car. Now, out of that corner, yeah, he just tried to make a move towards the inside, but Mick Claridge was going the same way, and both went to the right, and they just hit each other there. That's...
Yeah, I'd say the defense happened at the same time as the move, and both of them just didn't expect it. So that seems like a racing incident to me. Yeah, you'll see here both of them just dodging to the right at the exact same moment, and poor Michel and poor Mick unfortunately came together.
Just a quick update to Mick Claridge. He's currently in P5. He's around a second behind Gary Thiel. And with the speed that he had earlier, you might assume that he will be making short work of both Gary Thiel and Nicola Cocci and elevate himself to a podium position once again. But yeah, this is this is ruining the battle for the lead a little bit. And Dave Price is, of course, getting a little bit closer to Dudillon, but it seems that the French driver still has quite a sizable gap and is not being put under pressure at the moment.
Yeah, it's good news, bad news for the fans, because even though it robs us of that battle for the lead, it does give us a chance to at least check in on some of the other battles in the field for a bit, as that one just was not going away. Way down in 15th, we've got a fight between Shaw and Green. Haven't shown them a whole lot here during this race, but this season isn't even in the back of the pack, we should point out. There's so many cars here today. As Simon, Shaw, and Green work their way towards Blanchimont right now with only 6 laps to go. Up towards the bus stop. Green not that great through that fast left-hander. That means he's not going to get a chance on Shaw for now. And from what I know of the two, Dudignon and Claridge, I don't think there's going to be any hard feelings between them with that. They tend to have a good laugh after most of their races, and very good sportsmen as we jump up to Gary Thiel, trying to chase down Nicola Cocci and also get rid of Mick Claridge, who's recovering.
Yeah, exactly. Mick Claridge is well getting closer and closer. They see the quick Mick, and look at him. He's immediately breaking himself towards Gary Thiel there, putting him under pressure like Michel Dudillon was doing with him a few laps ago. Immediately, that means that Gary Thiel loses connection with Nicola Cocci a little bit, and the Italian can drive away towards Pulhorn. Wow, look at the exit that Mick Claridge has. He immediately looks to the inside, brakes later, and makes it stick. Textbook maneuver from the grid there. Beautiful stuff. That brings him to P4.
Yeah, no surprise that Gary Thiel did not defend that one again. His battle is not with Claridge in the championship. It's Marco Kika, the car behind. And as long as Marco is behind him, that's all he has to worry about for now. There we see Marco actually having moved up a couple positions, started this thing in 8th spot. He's got about 4 seconds up to Gary Thiel. So he's really got to hustle with not too many laps left to try and run him down.
Nicola Cocci is seeing the storm coming to him. The Claridge is behind him through Blanchimont, getting closer. Nicola Cocci having a good race so far as well. It's a driver that we've seen this season really getting better and better. He scored a lot of podium positions, Joe, and at the moment he will be put under pressure by Mick Claridge, and I wouldn't be surprised if he loses that P3 position. But yeah, Nicola Cocci, I think, had a great season with all the podiums that he scored, with the speed that he scored. I think that he would probably be very satisfied looking back at the season.
Boy, it couldn't see it quite well from that angle, but Mick Claridge almost got tipped around by Gary Thiel in the bus stop. He got so close to the back of him. Thankfully, no incident happened. So as they plunge downhill towards Eau Rouge, Claridge probably going to try and set himself up for a good run up the Kemmel Straight, taking a lot of curb there through this infamous corner, and it helps him as he's right on the gearbox of the Italian. Nicola goes defensive, covers off the middle of the road. He took a podium in his home race at Monza, and unfortunately, I'm not sure that he's going to get a podium here today. Claridge going to have the inside of the second apex, but it's not going to be enough, or is it? Wow! Powers off the corner up to Malmedy, and he gets it done, getting onto the podium.
Battle for P9 at the moment. Victor Perelman and Benjamin Soko. Benjamin Soko has closed the gap to Victor Perelman, and he gets the job done. Benjamin Soko bringing himself the P9 position. He's only 5. We go to a replay of that move. Of course, Benjamin Soko was in that fight with Daniel Gattuso and Hideki Koifisto. He was fighting for laps to bring that gap down. Almost 7 seconds it was to Victor Perelman. As you can see on screen here on the outside, just brakes later, makes the move stick, and that brings him to P9. He's currently 5 seconds behind Matt Wright with 5 laps to go. That actually might work for the Australian. He actually might be able to do that and bring himself another position after starting in 23rd position.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful job there by Zoko to get himself up the order here today, as he now disposes of Perelman. And Matt Wright, as you mentioned, next on his list is fellow Aussie. I'm not sure if he's got quite the pace to get up to him. Tell you what, a little bit farther behind them for 12th position, Philippe Urquhart and Hideki Koivisto, looking like they're going to have a little bit of a tussle here soon. They've dropped off from Daniel Gattuso, who's been trying to fend off cars all race long, and now he's finally got some breathing space with the battle going on behind.
And not a lot between Philippe and Hideki at the moment. Last time around, Philippe was around the 10th quicker. Well, in a 2-minute 20 lap time circuit, that's not a lot of time, but it seems like Philippe is slightly quicker than the Finn at the moment. Not quick enough to put his car side by side here through the bus stop chicane. Daniel Gattuso in front of them is around 4/10, 5/10 quicker last time around, so it seems that the Italian is safe. He can drive away from this fight a little bit each lap. Behind them, Simon Shaw and Scott Green, they were battling a few laps ago. At the moment, the battle has ceased a little bit. There's almost a second between them. It's still very close between them. One mistake from Simon might mean that Scott Green is right there to pounce on a mistake and get that P15 position.
Yeah, we checked in on these guys a little bit earlier, and it certainly has not gone away. Green a little bit hot into La Source, though, and that's going to cost him some time on Simon Shaw across the start-finish line to complete another lap. Now down to 4 laps to go. If you're just joining us, your leader still Michel Dudagnon. And even though he started on pole, he hasn't been there much of this race. He only was able to get it back after a fierce fight with his longtime rival, Mick Claridge. A little bit of contact, unfortunately, has put Claridge in the 3rd place position that you see at the top of the screen now.
And for P4 is heating up one more time. Nicola Cocci, he was just being overtaken by Mick Claridge. He breezed past P4 and P5, but that battle between Cocci and Gary Thiel is still going on. Nicola Cocci has lost a few tenths of a second this lap time alone. You can see that Gary Thiel is just getting closer and closer, finding his way to the Italian, trying to set himself up for a move, maybe in the last lap to get that P4 position. Gary Thiel, of course, had a great season so far, fighting for the title almost all season long. Just had to let Michel Dudagnon go in front of him in the end. Yeah, he's finishing his season on the high with a battle like this, almost for podium position.
Yeah, and I think Thiel acknowledged that in some of our interviews, that he thought it was a bit of a long shot to beat Michel, but you always got to fight and try, and he came close. Today, he's just trying to hold on to second as he has a lot of wheel spin coming out of the bus stop, which is going to lose him time on Cocci, but doesn't put him under threat from Kika still, who holds that gap at about 4.5 seconds. Boy, wide run. Oh, and who's that stopped at the side of the track? Robert Reynolds. Not sure what's happened to Robert here. Just has pulled over, and I think he's letting a lot of cars through. I don't see any incidents for him.
Robert Reynolds is a car 6 laps down at the moment.
I think he's just letting everybody by at the moment.
Exactly.
Now down to 3 laps to go. Ever since that contact, the gap really has not closed between Dudagnon and Price. And in fact, the gap between Claridge and Dudagnon hasn't closed either. Claridge has a whole 8.5 seconds just to get to Price himself. There's 12 seconds between Claridge and Dudagnon. This is going to be a good day for the number 5 car. Having started in 3rd on that 2nd row, a little bit of luck helped him get to this 2nd spot, but you got to take what you can. Meanwhile, really, throughout the field, most of the battles have separated. Cocci and Thiel relatively close. Coivisto and Urquhart close together. And then Shaw and Green. Those are the only 3 battles left out on track that are within a second of one another.
And especially the one between Coivisto and Urquhart. I have the feeling that might not be over before the race is done, because one more time Philippe Urquhart is clawing his way back, especially in the infield section. He seems quicker than the Finn. Going for the piff-puff here, Coivisto gets a little bit loose. It hurts him one more time, and it will bring him closer, a half a tenth, ever so slightly. Daniel Gattuso just in front of them. So this fight is not over, with 3 cars separated by roughly 2 seconds. With only 3 more laps to go. Any mistake that you make now, you'll feel at the end.
Well, since he's not going to get an opportunity, why don't we go through the field a little bit and update any viewers who may have come in late. A bit of what's happened during this race. Michel Dudagnon, as we mentioned, your leader, even though he started on the pole, he lost it at the start to Claridge, then lost out to Dave Price, and they're battling. Had to fight back Price, had to fight his way back up to Claridge, and then fight Claridge, and eventually got by after a little bit of contact. Unfortunately, spun the Brit. Then there's Dave Price in 2nd place. He waited back behind these guys until we mentioned he was able to take advantage of Dudagnon being slowed up, get himself into 2nd, lost out as those 2 fought it out, and then got it back once again. So a bit of a yo-yo for Dave Price today. Mick Claridge, after that spin that I mentioned, he was all the way back to 5th. He managed to get by Cocci and Thiel, who were battling behind him to get onto the podium, but it seems he'll stall out here. Cocci, boy, what a run today. Started in 4th, has been hovering around there, but has been fighting all day long with a number of drivers. Right now, the big fight between himself and the car behind, Gary Thiel. Really, I don't think is worrying about this too much. He's trying to solidify this 5th place to make sure that he gets 2nd in the championship. That number 4 car having a bit of an adventure today to do that. What's the next 5 look like there, Johan?
Yeah, Marco Kika is currently in P6. Good run from Finn out there, winning 2 positions since the start of the race. And he is, of course, in that championship battle. Looking like he will stay, though, in P6 for now. He's 5 seconds behind Gary Thiel, and he's 3 seconds in front of the Canadian Richard Morin. Morin also winning 2 positions since the start of the race. He's having a good run out there so far. Had some good battles, having some good speed as well. Good way to close out the season for the Canadian. P8 at the moment. Matt Wright, he's having a slightly worse race than qualifying. He lost 1 position so far in the race, but I think that Matt Wright is not caring about that much at the moment, because he is looking at the place of Hideko Koivisto, his rival in the Formula 2 championship, and he knows that he's quite a way in front of the Finnish driver, so he will grab the championship in the Formula 2. Benjamin Soko is currently in P9. He started all the way, as you can see, in 23rd position after not being able to set a qualifying time. So gaining 14th position, that's really good for Benjamin Soko.
Got a replay of an incident. Let's see what happened here. Oh, Nicola Kochi passed by Gary Thiel.
Yeah, there was in the bus stop chicane. You can see it here now on the replay. Under braking, he lost completely control of his car. Great stuff by the Italian to keep it out of the wall, but here the rear just snapped away, sending him towards the barrier. In the last moment, he regained control and could continue his way. But as you said, Joe, he loses 1 position to Gary Thiel, who is now in P4.
Unfortunate for Kochi, who was being so solid today, but good news for Gary Thiel. Meanwhile, the white flag is out, and with a 6-second lead from Dudignon to Price, it looks like our champion is going to come out on a high note. It's been a while since he's been able to beat Mick Claridge to the crown, and I'm sure that Michel is going to be very happy with this one.
A little bit further back before he comes over start-finish straight, Benjamin Soko has caught up to Matt Wright in the battle for P8. The Australian is looking left and right through Lecombe, here through the rest. He's trying everything, but he is not making it stick so far. And with half a lap to go, it will be a heavy battle for P8.
Boy, I didn't think that he'd be able to catch him, but great pace by Ben Zoko to get up to the rear of his countryman. Right now, just trying to put the pressure on with his 2 similarly painted Lotuses out of Puhan. Can he get an opportunity? Looks like he's just a little bit too far back. And as that's happening, we're going to have to switch up to our leader, because Michel Dudignon works his way out of Blanchemont. So has a couple more corners to go. Again, they're not going to finish on the Grand Prix straight that you see with modern F1 cars. So through the bus stop, now up to the final corner of La Source. Now 7 seconds between himself and Dave Price, putting his stamp on it today. Michel Dudignon had to fight for the win, but he's going to come away with the win regardless. The Frenchman takes victory here at Spa-Francorchamps in the final round.
And with 2 more corners to go, Benjamin Soko is putting pressure on Matt Wright. He still hasn't passed his countryman through the bus stop now. Matt Wright defends the inside. That will hurt him on the run down towards La Source. Benjamin Soko getting closer and closer. 1 more braking spot to go. He's diving in the gearbox. It's not a long straight. You won't have a lot of draft, but this is the only place that you can do. Both looking to the inside. Benjamin Soko tries to send it. Oh, just breaks himself a little bit, but he has track position. Matt Wright on the outside has more momentum. Drag race to the finish line, but Benjamin Soko has the inside, and I think he's done it over the finish line as Benjamin Soko with a last-minute move getting that P8 position.
Aggressive stuff, but great pass by Penzoko. Was given space at the apex by Matt Wright. I'm sure they're smiling ear to ear after that one. There we see Victor Perlman able to come home with a 10th spot. As the drivers stream in, Philippe Urquhart was in a bit of a close battle with Hideki Koivisto, but Koivisto comes out with 12th ahead of him. Between Shaw and Green, Shaw comes out with the upper hand, finishing 15th over Green's 16th spot. The rest of the field streaming in.
Yeah, there may be a little battle with only 1 more corner to go for P19. Randy Huff and Johnny Bell. There's only a second between the two. I don't think that Johnny Bell is close enough to try and move. He was quite a bit quicker, or he was quicker last time around, but not enough to make a move. Although Randy Huff is missing the La Source, Johnny Bell will be able to get the apex there. Drag race to the finish line. We've seen this before, but it's a little bit too little, too late for Johnny Bell, and Johnny has to settle for P20 in the end.
That's going to finish all of our battles as everybody else pretty far apart, watching Gary Anderson come home. With that, we're going to take a short break here on the Global Sim Racing channel. We'll come back with the official results as well as driver interviews. Boy, we got a good one to end the season on, but don't go away, because on screen you're going to see all the upcoming races here on the GSRC. Welcome back to the Ardennes. We had a great show here at Spa-Francorchamps with the Lotus 49 World Cup, and in the end, Michel Dudignan pried the lead back away from his main rival, Mick Claridge, to take the win. Dave Price finished in second behind the Frenchman. Mick Claridge recovered from his unfortunate spin into a podium position in third. Gary Teal clinches second in the championship. He's got to be proud of that, even though he didn't take the crown. He finishes fourth today. Nicola Kochi is the one who finished behind him after a late race mistake, handed that away. Marco Kika going to finish third in the championship. I'd say that's something to be proud of as well. With a sixth today, he had some great races, the Finn did. This season, Richard Morin finishes seventh, having climbed from ninth. But how about this climb? 23rd, didn't get a lap time in, Benjamin Zocco, and finished in eighth spot. Great stuff there. Matt Wright finishes just behind him with that run to the line in ninth, and Victor Perlman in 10th.
P11 position, Daniele Guttuso. He loses one position, but he comes home quite strong with having a good battle with Hideki Koivisto and Philippe Urquhart. Koivisto had a battle for that final position in the Formula 2 Championship with Matt Wright. He has to settle for P2 there and P12 today. Philippe Urquhart comes home in P13, while Marcellus Breuning finishes the race in 14th position. Simon Shaw, we saw him having a good battle with Scott Green for P15, but he comes home in P15 just in front of his rival. Daniel Cedro, he had a spin at the beginning of the race in Eau Rouge, but he consolidated in the race in the end, comes home in P17 just in front of Don Good. The last two drivers in the top 20, we saw them battle in the end, with Randy Huff just finished in front of Johnny Bell.
21st was Gary Anderson, the last car on the lead lap, with Paul Beatty finishing in 22nd. Robert Reynolds was 23rd, with 24th going to Jordi Mendez. These are all drivers that had problems and DNF'd. Billy Bob Wright, 25th, and Telmo Almiral in 26th. Now, we are going to talk to our second place driver, Dave Price, who had a great view of the battle in front of him. Dave, you even managed to take advantage of it at one point, get yourself into second ahead of Michel, but didn't seem like you could hold him back for long.
Yeah, hi, Joe. Yeah, but he's too fast, that guy, particularly at Spa. So I knew I didn't quite have the pace, but he just outbraked himself into La Source, and there was a gap there, so I was in there like a robber's dog. But yeah, I couldn't hold him back all the way. Made a small mistake coming out the left-hander, and he got me coming into Pouon, and tried to hang on to the back of him, but try as I might, can't quite match their pace yet.
Yeah, it seemed like your main hope was them coming together, which they did, but only allowed you past one of them. Going into next season, do you think it's possible to close that pace gap, to take something out of watching them and maybe find a little bit to challenge for more wins?
Well, I certainly hope so. Each season is I've been doing this 10 months now, and I came into it wanting to close the gap, and each season I've got a little bit closer. But obviously, the closer you get, the more difficult getting those last few tenths or hundredths are. But yeah, I'll certainly be trying.
So that said, season is now over, and a championship has wrapped up. With next season, even though the schedule is already set, what's a track that you'd really love to see this car run on that you haven't run yet with these guys?
Well, actually, it's one of the tracks we've got next season, which I've never raced at before in this car, which is Le Mans. I think it's the classic layout with a really long straight. So I raced there recently in the 24-hour Le Mans race in a Ford, and really enjoyed myself. And I was thinking at the time it'd be great to try this in the Lotus. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, get ready for some draft battles. Sound the Mulsanne, that's for sure. Well, congratulations on a second place. I'd say you ended this season on a high, sir.
Yeah, thanks very much, and thanks again for your coverage. Excellent as always, and looking forward to watching the replay back. And great that you're doing it again next season. Looking forward to it.
Oh, we're glad to be back. That was Dave Price, second place finisher here today. After that, Johan seems to have Mick Claridge ready to talk to him.
Yeah, Mick Claridge, welcome in the booth once again. Now, of course, you had a great race so far, but we have to talk first about that moment that happened on the rundown on the exit of Lecum, where you touched or you had contact with Michel Dudion, you were sent towards the wall. Tell us a little bit what happened from your perspective. Like, what exactly happened there that sent you to the wall? Was it a miscommunication between the both of you?
Yeah, and there's only one word for that: filth. Filth. Filth with a capital F, with a French accent. Filth. I'm joking. Now, you know how fast he was today. I'm so slow at this track, and I was just so happy. I was so happy to just be able to get in front of him at this track, and then I was like watching in the mirror, and then I saw Dave get by, and I was like, oh yes, this is just what I need, because I was just a little bit faster than Dave, and then Michel was, a good, I don't know, probably half a second, 3/4 of a second faster than us, both of us. I don't know. I didn't even actually see what happened, because I was sort of concentrating on the braking, and I was just, because there's a little mark on the floor what I use for braking, and I was thinking, oh, when's that coming up? And then I saw Michel in the mirror, and his head disappeared, and then he's damn close when that happens, because of the bug. And I honestly don't know what happened. I don't know if he steered to try and overtake me. I don't know what happened. I don't know if I broke early or I got no idea.
It almost seemed like that, like both of you went to the inside, one to cover the other, one to overtake the other, and yeah, he just had slightly more speed and you touched each other. It seemed a little bit like that from our point of view. Shame it happened. One of the things that you say is that you didn't have a lot of speed. Well, I disagree a little bit, because in lap 1 and P2, or lap 2 especially, you had a great run on Michel Dudillon and you made the pass stick. Was that something that you thought about, like try to make that pass for P1 as soon as possible and then defend like crazy and keep him behind me the whole race?
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, exactly that. I just thought, if I can get in front of it, I'm just going to block him like anything. and that's what I had to do, Like I said, I used, I went up on tyre pressures because I wanted my car to be fast at the start. It still wasn't as fast as him at the start, but he I don't know what happened. I don't know whether he was looking in the mirror, but he was really slow on the entry at Eau Rouge, and I just got a good run on him there. And that's what it was. That's all it was. He just had a really slow entry. He must have broke really early or hard. I don't know what happened there, but yeah. But yeah, so I ran higher tyre pressures to try and be quicker than him at the start, But no, qualifying showed how fast he is. He really is unbelievably quick at this track. It's I don't know if it's him being really good or everyone else is a bit slower there. I don't know. But
that's a question. Yeah, that's a question for the ages. It was very good to see at least you trying that move and being side by side for several corners after Lecombe. And the one thing that you said after the broadcast, where it was a bad season, but you had some great moments. Now reflecting on this season, what was your favorite moment? Which race will really stay with you? What was your favorite moment of the season?
Probably today, to be honest with you. A lot of side-by-side stuff with Michel, and that's always really good fun, and especially in the fast corners, and even up Camel Straight, I was watching him at the left and I could see him twitching his steering, just to get me to see his front wheel, and I was doing the same. We always do that, just to sort of mess around, So probably today was probably the best battle we've had, but yeah, no, I mean, how bad my season's been. It's been a shocking season, for me. But, I really like the last sort of 3 or 4 races, if last week can be forgotten. But, I finally found some speed in the end of the season, and that sort of pleased me a bit because I was nowhere for the first sort of 2/3 of the season. But yeah, today was a good race, even though it ended bad. But no, it was good.
That's good to hear, at least ending the season on a high note. Thank you again for joining us in the booth, and we'll see you again next season.
Yeah, cheers, guys. Well done for the broadcast, and yeah, can't wait for next season.
That was Nick Claridge coming home today in P3 after that heavy battle with Michel Dudillon. Now, in the meantime, Joe, you have found an Australian driver.
Indeed, I found Ben Zocco, who managed to finish 8th today. But let's start at the start of the race. 23rd on the grid, Ben. You didn't get a lap time in. What happened? Was it just the infamous off tracks, or did you mess up somewhere?
No, that was exactly it. It was the infamous off tracks, but I did it on purpose because I was really quite competitive in the Thursday race, and I thought, you know what, I've been meaning to do this for a while, seeing as my season has kind of not been as good as previous seasons, and I decided that I wanted to, inspired from the Thursday race where I missed a gear at the start and the whole field got past me, and I fought my way up to catch up to Teal and Gaspers. I thought, geez, I'm pretty quick around here. The setup's good, so for the broadcast, I'm going to fluff my laps so that I start towards the back and have a really fun race, just passing all my friends here in the Lotus 49 and see how far up I can get. And I was aiming for Richard, but I just needed a few more laps.
Well, I mean, regardless of wanting to be a little bit higher, of those passes, you seem to save the best one for last. You and your fellow countryman, Matt Wright, that last corner into La Source, tell us about that from your perspective, because we were at the edge of our seats.
Yeah, that was a bit desperate, I have to say. And I had a couple laps to size him up, but I was a bit over ego, made a few mistakes, so I got a bit loose and probably could have passed him maybe a lap sooner. But I wanted to pass him at other parts of the track, and then it just came down like I wasn't in the right position. So it was just that was the last chance. And it was a really tricky situation because half of me was saying, oh, go on the outside because he's probably going to defend because he defended into the bus stop. So he knows I'm here and he wants to keep his spot, which is good. I wanted to fight for it. And I was thinking of hanging out wide and doing the over-under. But I decided, look, I'll just brake really late as possible without, just understeering straight and causing a crash. And the last thing I wanted to do was cause a crash, and I was very cautious with all of my moves, except that one. He moved over to defend a little bit, and I'm like, well, I'm committed now, and I just had to brake really hard and make sure that I held as tight the inside line as I could. And thankfully, he left me that bit of room because I did understeer a little bit wide. Front wheels locked up, so it was a clumsy overtake. I didn't want to, certainly didn't want to crash him out. And but it was, that last lap, last corner, last race of the season, desperate. Oh, I'm going for it, whatever. And yeah, it was a good drag race down to the line. So yeah, exactly what I wanted from the race. A lot of fun and an exciting broadcast and an exciting finish. And it looks like there was a titanic battle with Mick and Michelle as well. This is a really good track to race side by side even in the Lotus 49.
I'd say so. Yeah, there was a fantastic battle up at the front. Now, bit bittersweet here today, though, because I understand you won't be able to join us next season at this time slot. Is that correct?
I think for the first 4 races, it's like it is now. But then when the time zone changes, previously I just stay up and race, but this following season, I think 2 years or however long we've had this time slot going, and the broadcast race. I think it's time to sort of reclaim my Saturday night, Sunday morning sort of proper sleep. So when the time zone does change, you won't see me in every race like I've been trying to do. You might just see me every now and then. So yeah, not going to be a full season for sure next season, but maybe we can make some changes for the following season, 2019, and I'll be back for that. But yeah, I'm not going to be gone from the community. I'll certainly be around, but I'll be less visible in the broadcast races.
Yeah, and as sad as we are about that, we completely understand about getting Sunday mornings and Saturday nights back. But again, fantastic run today, up to 8th, and look forward to seeing you for the next couple rounds.
Yep, thanks again as always, GSRC. Great coverage. Glad to have you on board, and we'll see you next season.
That was Ben Zocco, 8th place. Real quick before we go, we've got Paul Beatty, who always puts on a bit of an entertaining interview. He is with Johan Vanderbilt.
Hey, Paul, how are you doing? Hey, I was looking at your lap times at races, and you started with every lap you were quicker, and you finished the race with your strongest lap time of today. That must be a good feeling to round out the season, right?
And the last lap, I thought, I'll just take it easy on the last lap. I've got a lot to learn, man. It was fun, a lot of fun. It's my favourite course, this is, but I've got a few seconds to catch up, I think.
At least good progress during the race. Now, one thing that I did is after the race, I always looked through some of the drivers, and one of the drivers that actually looked through the eyes of was yours, especially in your rundown towards Eau Rouge at the start. How was it for you? Because seemed to go left and right and over the grass. It must have been hectic for you.
I was, I better keep it family friendly. But when I saw a car pulling alongside me, I thought, this is not going to go well. This is going to be Carmageddon. It's all going to go Mad Max on me. And then I saw a car, I think it was Telmo flew off, but held it together. And then, only sweated mildly for the rest of the race. But great fun.
Awesome. Well, of course, this was the last race of the season. Next season, we're going to start again with Watkins Glen. Well, that's almost as quick and exciting as this one. Are you looking forward to that track? Is that also one of your favorites?
I didn't do the World Cup in that one. I did one of the midweek ones. I'm okay at it. There's no Monza is probably the course I find easiest because there's not many corners in it. But next season, I might as well aim high. I might as well say I'll go for F2 champion. How about that? Or take Ben's place as the Australian on board.
I mean, I'm writing it down as we speak. We're going to keep you to that. That's
Oh God, there's no money on it.
Very good. Well, thanks for joining us in the booth, Paul Beatty. It was great to see you on track, and we hope to see you again next season.
Definitely. Thanks very much. Cheers.
That was Paul Beatty, who finished in 22nd today. We always love getting him in the booth because he always entertains us for sure. We're going to close up for today and for the season. A big thank you again to Ben Soko for all of his work over the past few seasons, basically organizing the group to make sure that these broadcasts happen. From what I understand, he's stepping away a little bit as well to let somebody take the reins. So a big salute to Ben for all of his work. Thanks to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast listed here on your screen. Additional thanks go to Eric Ekholm and June Lalonde, who provide our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of their great work. Thanks to the team today, Johan, Amjad, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. We're also on social media. You can find us on Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook at Global Sim Racing Channel, and Instagram at GSRC_Graham. If you head on over to our YouTube page, there's a big red button that says subscribe. If you hit that, you won't miss a moment here on the GSRC. The first round, going to be 2 weeks from now. Remember, we got a break next week. It'll be at Watkins Glen Classic Booth. That'll be Saturday, September 15th at 9:30 a.m. Eastern. We also have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. So until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.